All right, Community Services Commission meeting is called to order at 7 p.m. Good evening and welcome. For the audience here tonight, the City of Glendora utilizes a hybrid meeting format to allow for participation both in person and virtually. In consideration of others and the business conducted here tonight, please silence your phones and any electronic devices and refrain from speaking unless recognized. Again, this is a public meeting for the community of Glendora. We appreciate and respect your participation here this evening. Madam Clerk, will you conduct roll call, please?
Thank you very much. At this time, I'll conduct an oral roll call. If each of you can respond with a present when your name is called. Commissioner Burrell.
Present.
Commissioner Gerber.
Present.
Commissioner Louis Porcher.
Present.
Vice Chair Sally.
Present.
And Chair Kumian.
Present.
Thank you very much. And all commissioners are present.
Okay, Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Louis Porcher, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, reordering of and additions to the agenda. Does anybody wish to reorder or add to the agenda? Nope. All right. Moving on to public comment. Public comment period is open. Members of the public are invited to address the legislative body. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes, speaking once on both on and off agenda items. If you are in attendance, please fill out a speaker card and submit it to the recording admin before close of the public period. Close of the public comment period. Once recognized speakers should advance to the podium, state your name and subject matter you wish to discuss. If you are participating via Zoom, select the raise hand icon in the Zoom before the close of the public comment period. Once recognized, you will be unmuted, state your name and the subject matter that you wish to discuss. Are there any members of the public that wish to make a comment? Any inquiries for any requests from Zoom participants?
No.
All right. So then public comment period is closed.
Perfect.
And then, okay, moving on to commissioner statements and reports. Commissioner Burrell, would you like to make a statement?
Oh, sorry, nothing to report this month.
Commissioner Louis Porcher.
I have nothing to report this month.
All right. Commissioner David Gerber.
Yes, for the teen center, the teens for Glendora, they had their meeting last month, and they too go through a similar process that we do. They have a director's report, they have president, vice president, and whatnot. They, as part of their meeting, they do volunteer rewards. So every hour that they volunteer, they get $1 in credit towards a teen trip. So there's incentive for the kids to actually go out and do volunteering, whether it's with the community service department or within the community. And then they currently have raised $541 for their themselves in various ways. I'm sure they're going to be making a lot more money come basketball season because they will be potentially selling snacks down there. Some of the volunteering opportunities that they have, they help volunteer for the Halloween carnival, I believe. I'm not sure if they're doing anything for the Christmas stroll or anything of that nature. Probably not. They had today a Friendsgiving down at the teen center. So there was food and whatnot for themselves, which is nice. And that's it. That's their next meeting will be, I don't believe that they will have one in the month of December, but they will have, their meeting was today for their Friendsgiving. So that's my report.
Thank you. Vice Chair Sally.
Thank you. Yes, the Sports Council met this week. It was kind of a light schedule. You know, we're at a time of year when Glendora Youth Soccer is winding down. They just have All-Stars left this weekend. Glendora Youth Football is winding down, although they were very excited to report they have 3 teams in the championship league finals this weekend playing. There's also a couple of cheer competitions coming up. Glendora National, Pony, and Lassie League are all finishing up their fall ball season, so there wasn't a lot of content to discuss. But what did occur, which was kind of nice, is it kind of turned into a roundtable discussion where the leagues were able to kind of share ideas on, you know, how to work with sponsorships, how to run snack bar, and just a sharing of ideas, best practices. So I like to see that. It was a very effective, good use of time, and you know, I think they all got something out of it. So yeah, that's the report.
Great, thank you. And as for my report from the Glendora Trails Council, we had the Glendora Trails Day on November 4th. It was very well attended. Over 50 individuals attended. A lot of Boy Scout members, and so it was well attended. It was great. And then also announcing some of the fall and winter hikes. There's 2 fall hikes remaining, October 28th at South Hills Wilderness Area and November 25th at Little Dalton. And in winter and spring hikes are January 27th at Colby and Colby Dalton Trails, February 24th at Big Dalton Canyon Trails, March 30th at South Hills Wilderness Area, and April 27th, Little Dalton Canyon. And these all started 8 a.m. and rain or shine. So, and then some discussions were had in regards to the budget, and also some trail maintenance direction was given for some of the trails that need some cutting back. And that's it for my report. Moving on.
Thank
to
you,
direct-
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
As tomorrow will be the holiday stroll and tree lighting. It starts at 6 p.m. The tree lighting should be about 6:30. And then Friday or Saturday, November 25th and Saturday, December 2nd, we'll have Stuff the Bus. We did have a promo out showing that, and it was very nicely done. The little kids on there were very, very cute. And then we already have 54 families signed up. It was 70 some kids, but I think it's probably almost 100 kids in that. So we're above doing that. I have made it to every school, all elementary, junior highs, and high school, passing out flyers to their principals to see what kids that they might see that we can help out. But we do need people to sign up to help us at Walmart those days. So if you're available and around, it's 9 to 3. So I think we do 9 to noon and then noon to 3. You can come on out, and we have our bus there, and some tables and stuff. And we, as the people go in, we hand them the card of necessary or little what they could help us, that ideas that they could help us with in that. And then Saturday or Friday, December 8th is when we will give those away down at the teen center. We'll have also wrapping stations there and that we're probably looking between 4 and 5 presents per kid like we did last year. Also on December 2nd, we have our gingerbread house event with the library. It will be at a new location. It will be down at the bandshell area. Since the plaza area here, we cannot have large events on there. So we're moving it over to the bandshell area. And then on the following Saturday, we have the Christmas parade, December 9th. So all those Saturdays were back to back to back. We also have the holiday home decorating contest, where we'll be going out judging on Thursday, December 14th. We'll meet down at the teen center and then do our route and come back and judge. One thing we do, our youth basketball has 88 teams. We're up 6 teams from last year. So our gyms will be full. On Saturdays, I think we're looking to hopefully get done. I think the last game ends at like 7:30 each Saturday. So it will be quite a long schedule. The city of Glendora did purchase new scoreboards for both Sandberg and Goddard's gym. We're looking, getting a quote for installation of those. Hoping in December we can get those up on the wall and get ready for our youth basketball season. And that concludes my report.
Real quick, the giving of the Stuff the Bus toys what time is that on the 8th?
I believe we start at 5 or 5:30, and I think we went till 8, 7 or 8.
Right, thank you. Moving on to consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar will be enacted by one motion without individual discussion unless commissioner has requested it be removed for separate discussion. Does anyone wish to pull or comment on any consent calendar items? All right. Is there make a motion, request a motion? Second? There you go.
Okay, so I have a motion by Commissioner Louis Porcher, a second by Commissioner Gerber. If I can request everybody to vote. And we'll be conducting an oral roll call vote at this time. Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Gerber,
Yes.
Commissioner Louis Porcher,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sally,
Yes.
and Chair Kumjian.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
All right, moving on to new business and a report from the Transportation Division, and Transportation Manager Stephen Mateer is here to report.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Stephen Mateer. I am the Transportation Manager for the City of Glendora, and this is our quarterly update to the Commission on our activities with our projects and programs. And so to give an overview, we'll talk a little bit about the Glendora Transit Service, our crosswalk improvement projects that are coming up, the People Movement Project, which is our large active transportation build out across the city, and our upcoming Slow Streets Ordinance, which is a new policy that we're adopting later this year. So in terms of ridership on our service, ridership, obviously, like every other public transit agency in the nation in California, we're heavily impacted by COVID. This was particularly observed in our fixed route service with schools being shut down, people working from home. Looking at the data now, the midday is actually back. That's the service primarily for middle school and high school. That almost immediately came back once school was open, and we've been fairly steady at about 9.5, sometimes 10 passengers an hour. So it's been very productive for us and continues to be. The real bright spot though is our dial-a-ride, which were traditionally around 1.2 passengers, and that's kind of a weird number when you think about it, like 1.2 people in a van. And what that just means is that, you know, we did a quick trip here and then a longer trip, right? And that's how you calculate that number. And as you can see, over the past month, we've actually gotten up to 1.6, which is great. So on the dial-a-ride side, we're almost back to pre-pandemic numbers, which is really great to see. I attribute a lot of that to our drivers have been great. We did not have the turnover that a lot of other agencies did with our drivers. These are the same drivers that everyone's familiar with. They worked very hard through the pandemic and have continued to prioritize customer service. At the same time, my staff and I have been very aggressive in handing out dial-a-ride applications, doing training with seniors. And that has been part of our new dispatching software, which was grant funded. And that allowed people to make reservations online, had a more efficient dispatching operation. And I think that's why you've seen this ridership come back. I guess the cloud to the silver lining is that the Gold Line shuttle does remain relatively lower, a lot lower than it did pre-pandemic. That was usually about 6 passengers per hour. So as you can see, we're, well below that. That is, I think, from 2 reasons. Obviously, working from home is still people are still have a hybrid work schedule. The other thing is that we're at the tail end of the now A line. So the value proposition of taking our service is that the APU Citrus lot is full and you need to take our shuttle to get there. That's not the case anymore. They're still parking at APU. So until that lot is full and people kind of get conditioned to, oh, I need to not even attempt to park there, I should go back to Glendora Transit. So we're going to be a little bit behind the trend that Metro's observing, which is that rail ridership is slowly coming back. So I expect us to be, a few months behind that as well. On the capital side for our operation, which is the purchase of our vehicles and our facilities, we were recently awarded a grant to buy 2 replacement dollar ride vehicles from LA Metro. These will be federally funded from the FTA, and that was for $140,000. We also received delivery of our first 2 battery electric buses, and they are currently parked at the Public Works yard while we're waiting for Edison to overcome some of their supply chain issues. We were hoping to have this up and running this summer. Edison pushed us back to February at the earliest. We are not the only transit property in this situation, but that's a major blow given that we have very expensive buses that really have to kind of take turns charging, and it's not been a very smooth rollout as we would have hoped. But the buses are here, they're great, they're beautiful, and we hope to have them out on the road soon. And one other really interesting planning activity that we're working on is our first ever short range transit plan. The city has never done a comprehensive evaluation of our service. So this is going to be asking, are we going to the right places? Are we serving the right people? What can we do to reach them better? Looking at our fares haven't changed since probably the 90s, if not earlier. And also looking at how we market ourselves. And so as you see here on that's our new bus with our new branding. And that's really to be eye-catching, and also that orange color it's for safety. That's a very bright bus that you're going to see and hopefully not hit. This will result in service recommendations primarily focused on rerouting our service to the new Metro A-Line station and looking at ways that Dollar Ride could be made even more efficient and flexible for our seniors. Okay, so our crosswalk improvements, I'm sure everyone has seen or saw the demonstration project in the Glendora Village. And one of the most frequent questions we get is why? Why does it look this way? Why do you do this? These demonstration projects are primarily outreach tools. This is how we can test these ideas in the field for very cheaply. They also go in within a day, and we can look at real-time driver behavior, pedestrian behavior at this, and it guides our future projects and what's working and what's not working. So as a result of that, council directed us to work on 2 of these. First of all is the Washington Elementary crosswalk. That's at Gladstone and near Glen. So current condition right now is kids have to cross what is a 4-lane, pretty much highway to get to elementary school. We did a 1-day demonstration out there to show that curb extensions and mid-block refuge work. They did. And now we actually are about to award our construction contract next month. So I don't have a definitive schedule yet because we'll need to work around the bell schedules for the elementary school. But once we have that dialed in, we can report back to the commission on where that's at. But this is what the improvements will look like here with the full curb extensions and the mid-block refuge. As well as updated lighting, signage that will hopefully make it much safer for kids getting to school and their families. Within the village, the one that we did was a long-term demonstration project. So that's one that's more than a couple days or a couple weeks. This went on for months. We were able to reach about 370 people, which traditionally we would struggle to reach in a traditional workshop fashion or at a regular public meeting. And this was a great way to get feedback. Both from drivers and pedestrians. What we heard is that a lot of people obviously drive in Glendora, But that vast majority, or a large portion of those would actually walk if streets were safer. And that could include things like comfort, like shade, lighting, better facilities, actually having a sidewalk in some neighborhoods. So those are things that we're taking to heart when we're looking at where we deploy these projects. Interestingly enough, 54% supported the curb extensions. And there was a majority support for making these permanent. And that led us to council directing us to proceed with conceptual designs, which is what you see here. That is, again, this is not a final plan by any means. This is just to show what could fit in the village within that kind of the right-of-way envelope there. So this is with the curb extensions, landscaping, and the median refuge. And there's a decorative crosswalk there that matches the crosswalk at Foothill and Glendora. And that's the top-down kind of engineering look at it, and that gives you kind of the street widths and the right-of-way. And again, this is something we can play with. We don't necessarily need the median refuge or the mid-block refuge, so we can play with the right-of-way here. But this gives you a sense of what can fit, at least in here. And then across from the bus plaza and Nelson's drugstore, this again is another view of the curb extensions with the decorative crosswalk and the median refuge. And that's the top-down view. So again, kind of the right-of-way that we have to play with these projects. Okay, so the People Mover project. This is a project that we have been working on in various phases for a better part of a decade, at least on the urban trail piece and parts of it. This includes what are called first last mile, so how people get to and from the Gold Line station. Our urban trails are our walking, biking paths along the flood control channels. In total, this is about a $21 million investment for 10 miles across the city. We have secured nearly $12 million in grants to date, with the city kicking in almost $1.5 million. Obviously, that's a major project, and it's not something the city can feasibly do all at once. So as part of that, we've been very aggressive in applying for funds. So that nearly $12 million I mentioned, that includes $6.6 million from the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments. Congresswoman Judy Chu did not give us $5. That should say $5 million to pay for this. And then they mentioned, council as allocated CIP funding for this. And as part of this, council went through a priority setting exercise where we selected what we're calling phase 1. Which is what you see here. That is completing the San Dimas Wash Trail all the way to Grand and Arrow, and then building first last mile improvements on Glendora and Foothill, as well as an urban trail along the Little Dalton Wash from Finkbeiner up to Colby Trail. The cost of this is estimated to be around $14.2 million, and we are looking to secure an additional $1.5 million to close that funding gap. So what will this look like? This is the San Dimas Wash Trail, the trailhead at Sunflower and Gladstone. I know a lot of you have seen these already, so I'll try to get through it quickly. This is in Gladstone Park, where we have some of the native landscaping, the drinking fountains, and kind of some benches for seating. And this is near the end of the trail at Arrow and Grant. And again, this was an opportunity to create a little bit of pocket park. That path is about 12 feet wide. That allows people to safely pass each other as they're walking or biking by. Now, first last mile improvements, the main goal, well, two main goals here are how do we connect the village to the Metro A-Line station, given that it's tucked behind condos in the post office? And second of all, how do we make the road as safe as possible for all users? This is the intersection of Ada and Glendora, which I'm sure as everyone's experienced is not fun to cross when you're on foot or even when you're driving. And so thinking about how to improve that is what you see here is a roundabout. I'll note for everyone that this does include a road diet or a lane reduction down to 1 lane each direction. And then further up, there we go. So looking southbound, on here, again, this is to show really some of the streetscape enhancements that we'd like to see as part of this, as well as some of the economic development opportunities that come with these public investments. And you'll see there on the very left, that's the raised protected bike lane. That's the safest bike facility you can design on a street. We also are maintaining all parking on the street, so there will be no parking reduction as part of this project. This is at Carroll and Glendora. And again, this is where you see the narrowed crossing, bike lanes and signage. And this is today at Glendora and Foothill. And then this is with what's called a Dutch or protected intersection. And this way it keeps bicycles and pedestrians in their own lanes, and it provides a lot more visibility for drivers making turns. So this is, again, one of the safest design features you can implement in an intersection. And then also on Foothill Boulevard, again, it's actually kind of interesting looking at this picture without the bridge, because I think we've all just mentally created the bridge. So this is what it used to look like before anything happened. And then now we're very familiar with the bridge, and we're also looking here to add a bike lane. And I'll note here again, Foothill Boulevard will be reduced to one lane each direction, which will make it a consistent width from Citrus all the way to Amelia. And again, this project though is only going from Citrus to Vista Bonita. And really the idea here with this project too is I mentioned road safety, but also is there a way to catalyze some of the development along Foothill Boulevard as we're going, away from the village. And that's something that with public investment on this magnitude, we tend to see that happen. Okay, so as I mentioned, we received a large grant from the SGV COG. As part of that, the SGV COG is managing the project on our behalf. So we are giving back 10% of that grant to the COG for administration. That includes doing the RFPs, design, and project management of the projects. Our role is going to be reviewing and providing feedback and support, as well as making sure we pay our bills and the local match for that piece of it. So just again, to kind of run through the funding of this, the San Dimas Wash is estimated to be about about $3.7 million to complete. That may change when we get our construction bids, so I wouldn't hold me to that too closely. Same with Glendora Avenue, that's going to be about $4.3 million all in. Little Dalton is $2.5 million. And then Foothill is about $3.7 million. So these are all substantial investments that we're making in our infrastructure to give people real alternatives to get around, make streets safer for all ages and all abilities. So as I mentioned, the next steps right now, the COG is preparing a design firm to work on these projects for us. We are working to complete the permitting for the San Dimas Wash right now, which requires both the county and the U.S. Army Corps to sign off, which you can imagine that's kind of a black box process. And we unfortunately don't have a lot of control over that. And that's what's been delaying our ability to get to construction. We are looking to complete environmental design by the end of 2025 with an opening in 2026, right around when the Gold Line or the A line opens up in Glendora. So as I mentioned, we are also working right now on probably one of the more substantive policies is our slow streets ordinance. And what a slow streets ordinance is, it allows the city to implement a variety of treatments ranging from yard signs saying, hey, slow down, to full street closures like what we did with Mita Avenue. So this is really a new toolbox for the city to respond to resident concerns over speeding, traffic safety, those kind of things. It also helps guide us when we do these demonstration projects that we're not just guessing on where to put them, that we're actually following resident stakeholder input on where these projects should go. So that's what we're looking at. And I'll note too, these will not apply to arterial streets. So we would never do a slow street on Route 66 Grand. This is primarily targeting residential streets, collector streets, streets that really are more for people walking. And we're really trying to think about how do we get people to slow down in neighborhoods or in areas like the Village, right, where there's lots of pedestrians. As I mentioned, it can range from signage to quick build projects all the way up to, again, doing a Mita Avenue style project. And with that, I can take any questions that the council has, or sorry, the commission has, excuse me. Yeah, right. Congratulations.
Right. Thank you. Any comments? Commissioner Burrow?
My first question is with the first and last mile project that the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments is going to administer.
Mhm.
Are they, going to the design and build firms with your specifications or like the proposed plan, or are they kind of going to give and be like, well, no, you don't need that. We're going to take that off. Are they more hands-on or just really
As of right now, we're giving them what our plans are, and obviously depending on budget and feasibility, that may adjust what we wind up building. But as of right now, they're working off of what you saw
Oh, okay.
on those renderings.
And then my second, or I don't know, this question or suggestion, but in the crossings on Glendora Avenue, is there any sort of I remember it was very popular about 15 years ago, the like where if you were going to cross, you'd hit and these like super bright lights flashed on the ground.
Mhm.
Only because I repeatedly do not see people standing behind a tree on that middle crossing by Crest and Crumble. And like I go through very slowly, but then I see like someone starting to walk and like, if I could have seen you, I would have stopped and waited, but you're like behind a tree. So I was just wondering if there's any thought to I guess any sort of letting vehicles know that someone's wanting to cross.
Yeah, those at this, we don't really have any designs for that yet, so that would be feedback that we could incorporate into a design. So if that was something, you know, you felt strongly about, we could obviously look at adding that in and how to accomplish that.
Thank you very much. It's my favorite presentation of the quarter. I'll keep all the rest.
Commissioner Gerbert?
Thank you. I do have a few questions myself. 2026, that's the goal for the 4 projects,
Yep.
correct?
Mhm.
And the likelihood of that being,
I would say the first last mile projects are fairly straightforward from an environmental and permitting process. They're generally what are called categorically excluded or exempted. So we don't do full blown environmental analysis for
Right.
that. The flood control channels are a lot more complicated because those are owned by LA County and the US Army Corps. And you know, we're about this big to them. And you know, with our experience in the San Dimas wash, I wouldn't say they've been unhelpful, but I don't know that we're really rising to the top of their heap of projects to process. So it's very hard to say how Little Dalton will go, for example. I'm hoping that we've learned a lot of lessons on San Dimas wash. We're going to be applying a lot of those standards that were imposed on the San Dimas wash on Little Dalton. So hopefully our rounds of edits and feedback are minimal.
so that's good. Like to see all of that happen. 10%, is that typical that you have to give back $660,000? That seems like quite a bit.
No, that's not a typical administration fee, but that's what they offered. And, you know, the city really wasn't in a position to bring in a lot of staff to manage a project of that magnitude. This was seen as a way to.
That was my
Not
next
have-
question.
yeah.
So it's like the money obviously is being spent. You obviously weighed the pros and cons as
Yeah.
to cost effectiveness of it.
Correct.
So,
Yeah. And these are, you know, one-off projects. So to bring on someone full-time to manage a project that's only going to be, you know, 2-3 years.
and who manages them so that you know that that $660,000 is truly benefiting us to the point of getting what you need out of it?
So that's why we have that, the MOA with them, is it prescribes our roles in that. And so for example, we are obligated to pay our local match, but if we're not getting, let's say, progress on a project, that would give us grounds to say, okay, we need to stop and have a, you know, resolution meeting
Okay.
over this. I will say, you know, of our grant, we were so this grant was part of a larger 7-city initiative that Glendora led. We got by far the most money. And so I think the COG views us as a priority since we're the furthest along in our planning and design. So, and we have a very good relationship with the SGB COG. So, I'm fairly confident that we'll
That's awesome.
navigate that.
2 more questions. Washington School down there, we talked about you doing the whole slowdown. Does Glendora PD, do they patrol down there for speed, right? Because school zones are in session, what, 15 mile an hour, I think, or is it 25?
25. Mhm.
I mean, are they managing that to expectation to help facilitate more safety, or is that?
Yeah, they are. They, you know, again, they're limited on the traffic side about where they can be. There's a lot of schools, obviously, they have to, you know,
Mhm.
kind
That
of
one seems to
platoon
be, to your
to,
point,
and
one of the more
yeah,
unsafe areas
Yeah.
that I would hope that they would obviously prioritize that.
Yeah.
In a lot of what they do.
right. And when we did our one-day demonstration, they were there. They were there to observe and help out. So, you know, they're very involved when we do our planning work, and they, you know, they're very helpful in helping us identify problem areas as well.
Last question, traffic patterns. So if we make the changes at Glendora and Foothill or Glendora and Ada going down, we all know that we have viable shopping, right? At the Vaughn Center, the post office, everybody's cruising through there. Where people are going to get, they're going to start going different directions.
Yeah.
Right. If they don't have to be in that area based on that, where is that going to go? And do you have information around what that's going to look like? Where's that traffic going to be funneled to? And is it going to find other issues?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say, I think the logic of it is that would push capacity to Route 66 and Grand and Lone Hill. And that way those are the streets we want cars to be on. Because those are auto oriented. Glendora Avenue, we want that to be the village. We want that to be
Absolutely.
pedestrian oriented. And I think that's why you see the economic development quality of the village is different than perhaps other more auto-centric areas of the city. So I view that as really slowing down traffic is going to have a net positive economic benefit. Where those cars go, I agree. That's something, we did not do a formal traffic study on this. However, when we did do our demonstration project during COVID, we did test, kind of a before and after, and there really wasn't any observed traffic impact when we went down to one lane. That's on Glendora Avenue. Foothill, again, might be a little bit different, but again, when we've looked at when there are peak, it's really about 5 minutes in the PM when you have, kind of that heavy traffic, and then after that it dissipates. And I think what we've seen, and we saw that with the 10 freeway, this past week, right? People find a way
Right.
to get around.
They're going to.
And, the idea too is that we're building this safe infrastructure for other modes. Hopefully that's encouraging. And we're also keeping people from not, cutting through on Ada. That's something we heard a lot was I hate the cut through traffic on Ada or on these very, very narrow streets. And so the idea of distributing traffic onto arterials that are designed to handle the traffic, that's more of an ideal arrangement.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Louis Forche.
I was just gonna say thank you. I agree with Mel. This is probably one of my favorite, if not the favorite season, all of the holiday stuff. I noticed the picture of downtown, or the village. There looked like there were water channels or grates or something like that. Is that right? Is
Yes.
that what I saw?
Yeah,
Okay.
the height of the curb in the village is much higher than anywhere in the city. And that's just because of the drainage that goes on. So when we do a curb extension project, kind of like with the parklets, there's that metal plate that you see between the deck and the curb. That's to allow water to flow underneath. And that way we're not reconstructing curbs and it's a more economical approach. In fact, a lot of cities do that when you have a large or, kind of a mismatch of the curb height and the street height.
Right. Okay. Saw a lot of phones going down the drain in the future.
I'll bring a fishing rod.
Yeah. But that's it. It looks great. Thank you.
Vice Chair Sally.
Yeah, thank you. No questions, just a comment. I do like the curb extensions in the Glendora Village. I find it much easier to cross. And I kind of feel like it makes it feel like more one cohesive, village instead of businesses over here and businesses over there. So, I do like that program you have.
Thank you. Appreciate the feedback. Yeah. Thank you.
You
Great,
just
thank
made me think of one thing. There is a definite desire for a cross right next to Lucabella. I know there's a lot of traffic and a lot of jaywalking that happens right there just because the corner is maybe a little bit further or not. So if ever there was an opportunity to create a little walk space from there to there, that would be awesome.
That's a great point. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Glendora Avenue is going to be cut up just every 10 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Safe
Then you're
zone.
gonna have to walk.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
would be ideal.
Yeah.
Yes. Just real quick, the EV buses.
Yes.
How are they being charged right now?
We purchased a I call it temporary because it's not really where we're going
Right.
to keep the buses. So
Right.
we purchased a level 1 or DC fast charger at the Public Works Yard. It's installed. And so that's how we've been
Okay.
charging them.
And it's being driven just obviously because you have to maintain charge and
They've been driven. There are some mechanical issues with them. They are somewhat, I would call them a boutique project because this is not a standard bus. It's a 35, 40-foot bus. So it's somewhat custom built for Glendora. And so there are some issues that we're working out with the operation. So not yet, but I'm hoping that, we're working through some of these kinks as we're going forward.
by spring-ish.
I hope sooner.
All right.
Yeah. In fact, we're going to be out there tomorrow morning trying to troubleshoot
Okay.
buses.
And then with the raised bike lanes, is that for visibility or I mean, besides water, safety, what's the main reasoning behind all of that?
Yeah, so when we originally did that you raise the bike lane up so there's almost virtually no conflict with the car and a bicyclist.
All right.
Coincidentally enough, when we did the demonstration project, we heard emphatically people like that curb to step up. So particularly older residents or drivers, they needed their car to go in at an angle, use their hood to step up. When we did that non-raised bike lane, they didn't have that curve, they didn't have that ability to
Because then it was
hold on to their car to step up, which is kind of a happy coincidence in a way. So that was really more of a reason to keep it raised, especially from Ada to Foothill in that section. But yeah, generally raised protected bike lanes, or that's the safest you can design.
Right.
And given that's going to be our marquee access to the station and to the village, we wanted it to be really a showpiece project.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for your report. Very thorough and excited for all the projects.
I have one more question.
One more question.
The Slow Streets ordinance, and then you mentioned Ada. Is there any thought about making it parking only on one lane? Or only on one side? Yes.
Well, I'm nodding because that's one of those like tools we would now have. With this
Okay,
ordinance,
that's what I was
right?
wondering if that was.
We're very constrained now on how we can deploy traffic calming or like stop signs, speed bumps, that kind of thing. We have a lot more latitude now with the Slow Streets ordinance to respond to those kind
Okay.
of concerns.
Just one more other thing. With that, the restaurant that cut out the outdoor seating installs.
The parklets?
Yeah,
Yeah.
parklets. Is that obviously that's gonna go, right? Or is that
Oh, no, the bike lane doesn't go into the village.
okay?
So it ends at Foot.
I thought it went
at-
all the way through.
No.
Okay,
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. Phew.
I know.
All right.
Those would be a pain. I mean, we can move them, but it would be
Yeah.
a pain. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Friday nights.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Great, and thank you for your report. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to receive and file the report
All motion.
and a second? Thank you.
This time I request that you each commissioner vote. And then I will conduct an oral roll call vote. Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Gerber,
Yes.
Commissioner Louis Porche,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sally,
Yes.
and Chair Kubjian.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
All right, now to Commissioner closing statements. Commissioner Burrow, do you have anything to say?
No, I'm excited. There's so many exciting projects coming. And I think that the bike lanes, Foothill and Glendora with potentially the mountain bike trails in South Hills and then the, wash project. There's just a lot of fun things and ways to get outdoors and get around. It's very exciting stuff. And I'm also excited for all of our holiday things, and it's the most wonderful time of the year.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Louis Porche?
Nothing, just excited for the things to come, and happy Thanksgiving to all of you and your loved ones.
Commissioner Gerber?
I just want to say, hopefully you guys can attend some portion of the Stuff the Bus, whether it be at Walmart or if not down at the teen center. That in itself is a tearjerker at best because it's such an amazing thing for the kids. And I look forward to seeing everybody during the holidays. And that's it. And did we not talk about the Kirkpatrick
Consent,
It was on the consent.
consent? Okay, just making sure I didn't miss something.
yeah. Vice Chair Sally?
I'll just echo what everyone else has said is, some exciting and fun events coming up. Looking forward to all that. I did enjoy trail days. I earned a patch, which was outstanding. And I just want to give kudos to the community as a whole. The trails, while there was plenty of work to do in terms of cutting back brush, I was surprised on how little litter there was. I mean, the people that use those trails obviously take good care of it. And while working it, I got many thanks from people just saying, thank you for maintaining this. So, it it was a good feeling working that day and made me proud to be part of the city.
Thank you for participating.
Yeah.
And earning that badge. Yes, Mr. Mutier, thank you for your report this evening. We're really excited to see all the improvements that the city's bringing to the public and the safety first and foremost, and let's go after the funding. Just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving holiday next week. Enjoy the stroll and help us with Stuff the Bus. And that's it. One last point, Director Aguirre, do you have any last comments?
I just have one. We hired a new rec coordinator, William Vest, who was our camp director part-time, is now full-time as our rec coordinator. So this is his first week. We're loving having him on, and then we'll be going out for our rec supervisor soon.
What was his camp name? That's the only way I know them. Is it Simba? Oh, great. He's going to be great at that. Okay.
All right, great. All right, well, that,
He's off.
great. Well, with that, this meeting.
Sorry, also when
Oh.
we did hire a office assistant, Amanda Sisha is our new full-time office assistant here at the main office also.
Great. Again, thank you for this evening. Enjoy the holidays, and this meeting